Okay, so we're back in Tomer Devorah. This is day 23. What we're going to do, we're in chapter 5, which is how to emulate the aspect of Chesed, the attribute of Chesed, and kindness. And we have the 7th and the 8th. We're on the 7th and the 8th type of charitable deeds that we do amongst men that helps us understand how we can do charitable deeds to our Creator. Okay, so the 7th, and then we're going to go into chapter 6, which is Gevurah. So the 7th, bringing a bride to the chuppah. This includes all the necessities of unification for all prayers, and spiritual unifications are the essence of bringing a bride to the chuppah. The fundamental aspect of unification lies in the essence of prayer. So prayer is kind of like the archetype that we're dealing with here for Hashem. So the fundamental aspect of unification lies in the essence of prayer, which includes several levels, each higher than the next. So sections dealing with the sacrifices, so like korbanot, ketoret, the sacrifices, the incense, and then the verses of praise. So Pasuki de Zimra, the verses of praise. And I won't back up a second. The sacrifices, so we understand that the sacrifices are all, they deal with some sort of atonement, some sort of kapara, but the interesting thing is the altar that the sacrifices are done on, or on the outer part of the sanctuary. So there's the courtyard; it's at one level. Then the next level, where only the priests were at, is where that altar is, and that altar had a certain height. Okay. So the height of that altar, that the majority of those that those sacrifices are generally burned at, is at a level here. But once you go into the inner sanctuary, where the altar of incense is, that altar is actually higher than the altar that's out there where the normal sacrifices are, and that's where the incense is brought. And the incense is something that's basically it's higher than the other sacrifices, and it has nothing to do with atonement. It's just it represents the prayers of the people. So that's an interesting idea. So the prayer is literally higher than, prayers are literally higher than the sacrifices. That's what the symbolism and the geometry of the temple structure shows us. So I'll continue here. The fundamental aspect of the unification lies in the essence of prayer, which includes several levels, each higher than the next. So sacrifices, then it says verses of praise, and then the prayers while sitting. So that's like the Shema, right? And its blessings before and afterwards. Then the Amidah prayer. So the Shemona Esrei, it's 19 blessings, not 18 now, but anyway. And the remainder of the Tikkunim which follow. So that would be like like Tachanun, or excuse me, the other things that would follow. Like this time of the year, we're saying Avinu Malkeinu for the holiday. And anyway, all these are grants of Chesed to the groom and bride in order to attend to their needs and the perfections of their union. So that's an interesting relationship. So we see that our prayers are actually symbolic in parallel to the bride and the groom, the chuppah. Okay. So now the 8th. This is the 8th type of charitable deeds we do amongst men, that we know how to do charitable deeds with our Creator. Making peace between a man and his fellow, referring to Tiferet and Yesod, which sometimes become distant from one another. One must reconcile and rectify them so that they will be equal and bound together in love and affection. This is brought about through the quality of good deeds. For when Yesod tends to the left and Tiferet to the right, they are then in opposition to one another until Yesod is adjusted to tend to the right, like him or Tiferet, and if, God forbid, there is any blemish of sin in the world, then there is hatred and opposition between the two of them, with no unity bound between the Sephirot at all. Similarly, the same can occur between any two Sephirot, of which one is on the right and the other on the left, between Chochmah, Bina, Chesed, and Gevurah, and Netzach and Hod. One should bring the attribute of peace between them so that they complement each other. This is the meaning of bringing peace between a man and his fellow. The same applies regarding bringing peace between a man and his wife, which refers to applying Yesod, the attribute of peace, between Tiferet and Malchut. Similarly, all aspects of peace are considered granting Chesed above in the supernal worlds. And this also corresponds, it corresponds with the verse of how this book actually started. But, basically it's referring to Sephirot in 3 columns, so a left side, a right side, and a center. But anyway, so now that is the end of chapter 5. We're in chapter 6. This is still day 23. How a person should accustom himself with the attribute of Gevurah, or strictness, strict justice. Know that any action that arouses the Yetzer Hara actually arouses powerful Gevurot. The Yetzer Hara is inside of you. Your Yetzer Hatov is inside of you. Okay? So any action that arouses the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, actually arouses powerful Gevurot, or strictness. Therefore, one should not stir up the Yetzer Hara, lest Gevurah be aroused, or strict justice, right? The reason for this is as follows. Man was created with 2 inclinations, the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara, of which the former is Chesed and the latter Gevurah. However, the Zohar on Parshat Bereshit 49a explains that the Yetzer Hatov was created for the needs of the person himself, whereas the Yetzer Hara was created for the sake of his wife. So the evil inclination was created for the sake of his wife. See how sweet these words are. Tiferet, which contains the quality of Chesed, tends to the right, and all its conduct is with the right, which is the Yetzer Hatov. But the female attribute, Malchut, tends to the left, and all its conduct is with Gevurah. Consequently, it is proper not to arouse the Yetzer Hara for one's own benefit, lest it arouse the supernal man, that's in quotes, with the attribute of Gevurah and destroy the world. Thus, any attribute that a person arouses for his own sake, which tends towards the aspect of Gevurah and Yetzer Hara, creates a corresponding flaw in the supernal man. Based on this idea, one should note how disgraceful anger and the like are, for they cause harsh Gevurah to prevail. Indeed, the Yetzer Hara should be bound and tied so that it cannot arouse him to do any physical activity, neither in desiring marital relations, nor in desiring money, neither for anger, nor for honor in any way. However, for the sake of his wife, one should gently arouse his inclination towards sweetened Gevurot, providing her, for example, with clothing in a house, and he should say, by providing my wife with clothes, I am rectifying the Shekhinah, the divine presence. For the Shekhinah, the divine presence, is adorned by Bina, which is the aspect of Gevurah. Since Bina includes all Gevurot, yet her Bina's, that is her, or Bina's abundant compassion sweetens the strictness. Therefore, all household rectifications are actually rectifications of the Shekhinah, which is sweetened by way of the Yetzer Hara, the earthly inclinations, that was in fact created solely to fulfill the will of its creator. Therefore, man should not intend to derive from his home any aspect of earthly pleasure. Rather, when his wife adorns herself in their fine home, in his presence, he should contemplate the rectification of the Shekhinah, which is rectified by way of the beneficial powers of Gevurah from the left, whence wealth and honor derive. From this aspect, one should arouse the Yetzer Hara to love her, the Shekhinah. He should then concentrate on the aroused aspects of left in order to draw her near, according to the essence referred to in the verse, quote, let his left is under my head. This is Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs 8:3. For she, that is the Shekhinah, is connected initially only from the aspect of the left. After this, as the verse continues, and his right arm embraces me. So he should concentrate on sweetening all those rectifications with his Yetzer Tov, literally rectifying her, again, that's the Shekhinah, and causing her to rejoice by performing this mitzvah for the sake of arousing the supernal union. Thus, he sweetened all the Gevurot and rectifies them through the right. This method applies to all types of desires driving from the Yetzer Hara. They should be used mainly for the needs of the wife that God has chosen for him as his helpmate opposite him. Afterwards, he should redirect all of them to his service of God, binding them to the right. That is the end of chapter 6, but I want to mention, what was it? Hold on a second. Okay, so I wanted to help. Oh, so there's this idea that if you want to see how strong your Yetzer Hara or Yetzer Hatov is, you can see this from like whenever something pops up in your mind, whatever thought it is about, that's coming from the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. To see how strong that is basically how long that idea stays with you that you have to fight it. So if it keeps coming back to you, it's something that keeps coming back to you, then that means in that area of your life you have a stronger Yetzer Hara, so evil inclination. If it's something that goes away easily, and it's something, like, because normally there's like a conversation within yourself, like, that's silly, or, like, that's not me, that's not my thought, or like, where does this even come from? Like, or I'm not that way, whatever you do, whatever kind of conversation you have with yourself. And sometimes it's a rebuttal and there's something that goes back and forth. And it's like, let's just say it's, you could, something happens and, coming clean and telling the truth, it could be a simple matter, who spilled the milk? It's like, so if it's one of those things inside of you that's like, oh, well, the milk jug was kind of messed up and it was tipsy and it was sitting on something, but that somebody put that there, it's not supposed to be there, like you keep going back, like, okay, so are you going to say that it's not your fault, or are you going to say that, I'm responsible for that, So how much you have to battle with something like that helps you understand how strong your Yetzer Hatov or Yetzer Hara, your evil inclination or your good inclination is in that certain area, whether it's, truthfulness or modesty or, theft in simple items, or being honest in business dealings, certain things like that, and you can just, a normal person, you'll have these ideas that just pop in your head. It doesn't mean that that's a part of you. It's just, those are the things that are put there in your path to test you and try you, okay? And these are also things that are there, those things that pop in your mind to help you understand which level, what level you're on. We should always be striving to attain a higher level to do better, right? And sometimes you just have to like keep debating those ideas on yourself, and this is not me. That's not the way I am. Like, and it can be difficult because sometimes when you have an influence around you in your life, it could be TV, could be music, could be coworkers, could be whatever it is, multiple incidents in your life that like pushes you towards an edge on a certain thing. Those things contribute to strengthening your Yetzer Hara, your evil inclination. The more stuff that you take up and read, study, practice, extend yourself towards other people, stuff like that strengthens your Yetzer Tov, your good inclination. So hopefully that helps you understand that a little bit better. But anyway, that's it for day 23. Thanks.